Yo, what's up everybody? It's me, WD Michael, and in today's YouTube video, we're gonna hop back and kind of update one of the videos we did yesterday, and that was the Mewtwo Raid guide video. Now, Mewtwo Raids did drop last night, and we definitely had a video, or at least we thought we had a really solid game plan for this raid. When we got into it though, we found out that there was a lot of things that we just kind of didn't prepare for, and this raid was a lot harder than I ever previously thought it was going to be. So what we did last night is we tinkered around with our Mews, figured out the best kind of raid builds that you can do this in, ended up beating the Mewtwo. So what I want to do today is kind of give an updated raid guide for the Mewtwo Raid so that you at home can make sure you get the most just up-to-date and best build to go into these Mewtwo Raids and to get this thing beaten while it is up, because I can tell you right now, this raid is exceptionally hard, and if you don't go into this with the right build or the right team, you are probably going to fail. So let's get into this video and get you prepped for the Mewtwo Raids. Yo, so we've got the Mewtwo here. This is the actual raid build for this Mewtwo Raid. So first thing I want to talk about is specifically its moves that it has. It has such a huge move pool that we could have had a lot of moves, but it really only has a few moves, but those moves that it does have are super important, so we want to talk about them. The first one is going to be your Psy Strike. It is its signature ability, and it is also going to check defense. So we got to make sure that we have some way to kind of mitigate a little bit of a defensive damage from this Pokemon, or at least have a little bit of defensive bulkiness to kind of help with those Psy Strike damages. It also does get access to Ice Beam, so with all of our bug type Tera Pokemon, it ends up not being a huge issue as long as you plan for it and you prepare to mitigate a lot of the damage from the Mewtwo. You can actually make the bug Teras work. Aura Sphere unfortunately means that a lot of the Dark Tera Mews probably aren't going to be super helpful. I didn't see any of them actually end up beating it. For the most part, it was basically all bug type Mews. So definitely one of those things to keep in mind. Aura Sphere will absolutely ruin your day if you bring a Dark Tera type Pokemon, or just even a Dark type Pokemon into this raid. It's going to be brutal. Now, those are just the actual damaging moves that this Mewtwo has. It only has 3, but they are, trust me, they are plenty enough. Now with the kind of side moves that it ends up using, so right off the bat when this Mewtwo comes out onto the raid field, it is going to pop its Terra Shield, and it's also going to Calm Mind, and it's going to get a boosted Calm Mind, so it's going to boost up its special attack and its special defense a ton right off the bat. So that's kind of where we have to kind of play with this, is like, if it's going to be Calm Minding the entire time, do we really want to waste resources using Acid Spray to drop the special defense so our special attacking Pokemon can actually do damage? Or do we want to find a way to do damage to this raid boss without having to waste another one of our resources in dropping special defense when we could just use a physical attack? And so that's where we ended up going with last night, that we found out that just this special attacking Pokemon, because of Calm Mind, ended up being really hard to use. And so physical attacking Mews are pretty much going to be the biggest ticket into beating this raid, and we'll talk about that with our raids builds with Mew. So keep that in mind. Calm Mind is definitely a huge issue. The other part of this is rest. You have to be prepared for rest. If you are not, it will heal itself, and then you will absolutely not beat this raid boss. Basically, once the shield goes down from the Tera, it will automatically rest, and it also has a berry to wake itself up. It's crazy. So basically, rest, heal stuff back up, and it's full HP again. And it's ready to knock you around. So what you need to do is you really need to be ready for that rest. There's one really easy way to do that, and that's just by putting up terrain. A terrain move like Electric or Misty Terrain will actually stop the status effect from rest, not allowing it to go through, which means that he won't get the recovery from rest. So you really got to make sure you bring something like that, or else you are just not going to be able to defeat this raid boss. I found out that the hard way. One of those times just we were like, oh yeah, we got it, and then it just went back to full HP, and we had no way to bring it back down. So yeah, this one was exceptionally hard. Most of the raid builds I did in the previous raid build just didn't work as well, and so I ended up basically redoing my entire Mew last night in order to beat this raid. So let's talk about the Mew kind of synergy. So specifically Mew, the reason why Mew is so good is because it automatically gets a 50% boost into your HP the moment you bring it to this raid, and also a 20% stat boost in all of its stats. So Mew just right off the rip ends up being the best Pokemon that you can bring into these raids, while also having access to pretty much every single move under the sun. So you really have ways to build the Mew into a way that you need it. And there are really two things that you need in this raid for Mews. You need a physical attacking Mew, and you need a Mew that's going to support that Mew by negating a lot of the damage the Mewtwo is going to bring into this battle. So we're going to talk about those builds now. The first one we're going to talk about is the physical attacking Leech Life Bug Mew. Let's hop into it. All right, so we've got our physical attacking Mew. Now, when I was first doing these like raid builds, I really didn't think physical attacking Mew was like, it didn't click with me that was probably going to be the best option. But man, it really is. The calm mind issues with the Mewtwo end up making any special attacking damage dealing Pokemon you have not as effective. So the moment we can swap that over to an actual physical attacking Pokemon made the entire raid 40 times easier. It was insane how much easier it was. So one of the things you want to make sure you do is you're going to want to have Leech Life. One, it gives you some recovery, which is great. You definitely always need recovery. It makes it so your other Pokemon don't have to worry about healing you. It does super effective damage. It does big damage. Like, it is the move that you definitely want to use. And if you make sure you PP up, like actually get the max amount of moves into the Leech Life, you'll be able to have enough where you won't have to have any other damaging move in the raid. Because you shouldn't run out. You'll get close, probably, especially if you're like the only one doing damage from Leech Life, but you shouldn't be at the point where you run all the way out. So keep that in mind. Leech Life is going to be your big damage dealing move. One of the things you want to make sure and do is use Swords Dance. Swords Dance is going to boost your attack by +2 every time you use it. One of the things when you're using Swords Dance is make sure that you're watching how much damage you're taking, because if you need to either stop and heal yourself or heal your team, you need to make sure and do that. It's kind of one of those like okay, do I have enough HP where I can live another attack? Is Swords Dance safe? Like, you got to really judge when to use those moves, so you're not putting your foot in your mouth and end up getting knocked out and causing your team to wipe. So just keep in mind, it is super helpful, only at the right times though. Struggle Bug is one of those ones that I think that every single Mew across the board should know. Mewtwo's going to be like +4 pretty much right when the raid battle starts. So everybody just drops out 2 or 3 Struggle Bugs in the first turn or two, and you will drop the Mewtwo's ability to just kill your whole team right away. So Struggle Bug 2 to 3 times everybody in the raid group, even if you're the attacky Pokemon, support Pokemon, whatever it is, just Struggle Bug. Get that thing down so that you're not taking a bunch of damage, and then that way you can start getting yourself set up and start getting prepared for actually beating this guy. Huge. I can't stress to you enough how important Struggle Bug is in this. If you're not using it, you're honestly probably failing your team. Now with the attacking Mew, those are kind of like the 3 main ones you really have to have: Leech Life, Swords Dance, Struggle Bug. For your 4th slot, it's really up to you to have kind of fill in what your team doesn't have. Life Dew is a great just free plugin. It's nice. You see like, okay, some of my teammates are a little bit low, let me help out really quick. I'll use one of my turns to Life Dew. It can be super helpful. Some of the things that can also be really helpful is Mud Slap. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's like this top tier thing that you have to have, but I've seen it used and it can definitely be helpful, because anytime that you mitigate damage from the Mewtwo is great. And one of those is by dropping its accuracy and just absolutely not even get hit at all. So Mud Slap works, as well as Light Screen. Maybe somebody on your team doesn't have Light Screen or whatever. These are just things that you can kind of plug and play into your 4th slot to really round out your raid team as best as possible. I feel like either with your nature, Adamant or Brave is good. If you just want to make sure you're living a little bit longer, you can go with Brave. If you're like, nah, I just want to straight up do as much damage as possible, go with Adamant and just do as much damage as you want to. Yeah, I mean, really, and the last thing is like Metronome. I've seen a couple of other items. You can use, like a bug super effective item. You can use, Metronome, Shell Bell. I feel like Metronome did really, really well, because I felt like there was certain points in the raid where I was fully built up and I was just using Leech Life 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, and it'll help you boost that damage with Metronome. So I found it helpful for me. If you don't find it as helpful, you could definitely use some other items. There are definitely other options. So yeah, this is definitely like, this particular build was really the only reason why I ended up beating this raid. It was such a struggle with the special attackers that we ended up having a lot of discussion in chat, like, man, how can we kind of get rid of this special attacking weakness with the Calm Mind? And this was a huge answer, and it definitely helped us out. So if you are looking for an attacking Mew, this is the one you want to build. The next build though is that we do need to have something to support this Mew. You cannot just have 4 attacking Mews. It will not work. You need to have something to help support. Need to have a cleric in there to kind of give your team a little bit of rounding out and just some support. So the next one we're talking about is our support Mew. All right, so we've got our support Mew here. So with this one, we are changing up the Tera typing from bug. Now, obviously, if you are a bug Tera and you're doing attack, you're doing Leech Life, you don't really have to worry so much about the Ice Beam, because everyone's be struggle bugging the Mewtwo, so he's not going to do a lot of damage. And you're also getting that Leech Life to recover yourself, so you can kind of get rid of that little bit of a weakness, and it ends up not being as big of an issue. Now, if you're going to be a support Mew and you don't have the Leech Life recovery, then you shouldn't be going bug Tera, because you're going to take some super effective damage. So if you're going to be support, make sure you go like a Psychic Tera or something that's going to give you some immunity to this, or just not Tera at all in the first place. That's another big thing is, you know, if you got a Mew and it's a Fire Tera and you're like, man, I just don't want to, you know, I don't really have the shards to change it. Don't worry about it. Just don't Tera. That's your best option, because you're still going to have, you know, the best case scenario as far as your typing. So don't worry about it. Just don't even Tera. Now with this one, we definitely want to go with a more supportive build. So we want to get, you know, we don't have to worry about, you know, EVing into attack, special attack, whatever that is. We're just going to go with support. So 252 HP, get some EVs in your defense and your special defense. And now you can just sit there and kind of do what you need to, which is help your team. Now the things that you're going to need to actually help your team is Light Screen. Light Screen's great. Just turn 1, pop it off. You're automatically mitigating some damage. Give yourself Light Clay. That's going to last for a while, and you can just forget about it for a couple of turns. Struggle Bug. You have to be struggle bugging. If you're the support Mew and you're not struggle bugging like 90% of the raid, you're not helping your team. You got to get those struggle bugs in. You got to get that damage down so that people aren't dying. If you are the support Mew, one of the biggest things that you can do is to actually be the one to stop the rest from happening on Mewtwo. If you don't stop it, you are going to fail. So you need to have some sort of way to stop it. Misty Terrain, Electric Terrain are both great options. And if you're the support Mew, you need to have it on you. It is almost a requirement. Like you have to. So make sure that when you see that bubble kind of getting lower, drop that terrain out so that it doesn't end up getting its rest and its recovery back. Life Dew, another great option if you're trying to help your team. Again, this is one of those situations of the 4th move. You don't have to lock into Life Dew. You have some other options depending on what the other Mews are bringing. So if you have 2 other Mews with Life Dew and you're like, I don't really think I'm going to use that too much, grab something different. Taunt can be great, especially after the raid bubble is down. Mud Slap to drop accuracy, or just bust out Helping Hand to really help your attacking Mew do as much damage as they can. Yeah, this is really that kind of like, you have to have both. You can't build one particular Mew to do everything that both the attacking and support Mew does. So you really need to make sure that in your team, when you're getting ready for this, you're talking about what you all have, and that you go into this with the best team possible. Because if you don't, this Mewtwo will ruin your day. But yeah, honestly, other than that, I wouldn't bring anything else other than Mew. These are the 2 raid builds that I would bring, and that actually helped me beat this raid last night. So yeah, this is it. These are the 2 raid builds. Yo, thanks so much for coming out to my Mewtwo raid guide video and the updated version of it, so that you at home can make sure you get your Mewtwo knocked out this week, because this one was, like we said, was a difficult one. It was definitely not easy. Me and my chat had a rough time for the first couple raids, but once we figured it out, we ended up making it pretty easy and getting through this pretty easily. Now, if you need help with your Mewtwo raids, man, make sure you hop on over to my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/WDMichael and come and chat with me. I'd be more than happy to help you out if you're struggling and you need somebody to actually group up with and get this done with. Or if you want to hop into my Discord, there will be a link down below, and you can come and chat with me and even set up times when I'm not streaming to hopefully get your Mewtwo done with. First off, I just want to say thank you all so much for the support recently. It's been absolutely fantastic. We were really close on hitting that 1K subscriber mark, and I'm really excited. The growth recently has been kind of crazy to me, and it's been really cool to watch. So thank you all so much. I appreciate the heck out of it. And if you like this kind of content, you want to continue seeing more of it, make sure you hit that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell so you get notified when I drop more videos just like this one. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic time out in Paldea. Hopefully you get your Mewtwo, and then also use your Mew in those raids so that you can get the mightiest mark on your Mew. That was another thing we found out, is that if you use your Mew in this raid, you will also get the mightiest mark. So make sure you're hopping in and getting those done with, and I'll catch you out in Paldea, trainers. Peace.